धरती है आकाश है गुरु रामदास है धरती है आकाश है गुरु रामदास है धरती है
Konnichiwa.
आकाश
Hola. Ni hao. Bonjour. Buongiorno. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Aloha. Jambo. Welcome to The Journey. Hello and welcome, listeners. I'm Carolyn Jones, and this is The Journey. Today, the word griot takes on a broader meaning than a storyteller in West Africa who perpetuates the oral tradition and history of a village or family. We're going to experience the word griot through the soul of Mr. Russell Goings, best friend of Romeo Bidden, and now a friend I'm proud to claim as my own. Russell Goings was one of the first African Americans to graduate from Xavier University in the 1950s. He has also realized success in the U.S. Air Force, training pilots in escape and evasion. As a professional football player, as the first African American to hold a seat on the New York Stock Exchange, and as the first African American to own a brokerage firm on Wall Street. Mr. Goings was key in the founding of Essence magazine. He was the first black chairman of the Studio Museum in Harlem, a dealer and collector of African American art, a crusader for black empowerment, a rallying force for alumni of the Jesuit Honor Society, Alpha Sigma Nu, and enjoys service as an inner-city school volunteer. Not only did he sponsor a major exhibit at Xavier of art by Romeo Bidden, which he obtained through a long friendship with the Harlem Renaissance artist, Russell Goings has written an epic 309-page poem that draws on the traditions of West African griots to sing the history of blacks in the United States, entitled The Children of the Children Keep Coming. This native of Stamford, Connecticut, was inspired to write through his close friendship with the celebrated African-American painter and collagist Romeo Bidden, and write he does. I had the good fortune of meeting Russell Goings while in attendance at a writer's workshop hosted by Medgar Evers College and facilitated by best-selling author Donna Hill. The baby of the group, I'm in the company of writers you will hear from in the near future, the oldest of whom is 94 years of age. That's right, you heard me, 94. There I sat, munching my tuna fish and crackers, chatting with the wonderful women in the workshop and learning some vital writing techniques when Mr. Goings entered the room. Before the meeting was over, we had struck up a stimulating conversation. He autographed a copy of his book for me, and we agreed to collaborate for the enrichment of the community. So it was imperative that I invite him to the journey. I wanted to make sure that I really shared the complete essence of the man with you today, so I visited him and experienced moments of laughing and crying simultaneously. The wisdom and the commitment to his ancestral divinity is far-reaching and touches the deepest recesses of a listening heart. He uses a great deal of symbolism, and the reader or listener is enriched because the work intentionally preserves the collective memory of African American people. Mr. Goings, Russell, welcome to the journey.
Welcome. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy you could come. Now I have a threefold question for you. Would you tell us what made you decide to go to Wall Street, what you did to qualify, and how your family responded to your ultimate success on Wall Street?
Well, I think I'll start in shining shoes.
Okay.
I shined shoes as a young boy in a brokerage firm. It was one of the places I stopped to try to earn a few dollars. I shined a man's shoes. This is when shines cost a nickel. I shined his shoes, and he was sitting at his desk and received a telephone call. He stopped to write out on a piece of paper something, and he went to a window. He gave the paper to the person behind the window and came back, and I continued to shine his shoes. Before I finished shining his shoes, the paper was back. He leaned over with the piece of paper, and he said, "This is worth $500," and he gave me 50 cents. I knew that something was wrong.
Yes.
He's dressed in his suit and tie. I'm in some dungarees and on my knees shining his shoes. So the next thing I asked him was, "What do you do?" And he said, "I'm a stockbroker." I knew I wanted to be a stockbroker right then and there.
I know that.
I mean, in 3 minutes, he earned $500,
Yes.
and I get 50 cents. There had to be a better way.
And in 3 minutes, you made a career change.
So I made more than a career change. I knew that I wanted to do something that would allow me to enhance the decimal point from 50 cents to some dollars.
Yeah, I hear you.
You hear me?
I'm
I
hearing you
was
loud and
wise
clear.
enough to know that. So I decided that I would find out more about becoming a stockbroker. And I asked the next man, I said, "Well, how do you become a stockbroker?" And he said, "Well, I sold cars." And I asked another one, he said, "Well, I sold insurance." And I kept asking around, "How do you become a stockbroker?" I declared by the time I got finished asking to my mother that I wanted to be a stockbroker. And she said, "But what is a stockbroker?" And I told her, "Well, you answer and you talk on the telephone." And my mother said to me, "Well, how do you become?" And she took me to school to meet the teacher to talk about becoming a stockbroker. And the teacher took my mother aside and whispered, "There ain't no black stockbrokers.
Would you say that just one more time?
There ain't no black stockbrokers."
Oof.
He should not be a stockbroker. He should be something else. Maybe a mechanic, or maybe... My mother said, "But his dream is to be a stockbroker." Well, I decided I wanted to be a stockbroker. I took the various courses and went off to school and went to the Air Force. When I got out of the Air Force, I went to Xavier University on an athletic, in a graduate, in an academic scholarship, and got a degree in economics and finance in 2 years. Then went on to graduate school, played football and played professional football, and got out of and went to the service for 4 years, did all of that and got out, and went to Wall Street
All right.
to look for a job as a stockbroker. And I have to tell you, all hell broke out.
Oh,
I mean, I got a 32-inch waist. I got a GP, grade point average in the 4 points. I got a graduate scholarship. I had sold cars. I've done all the stuff ready to become a stockbroker. Couldn't get a job in the beginning on Wall Street, trying to become a stockbroker. Finally, I got a job with a man named J.W. Kaufman, and made $37.50 the first month on Wall Street, and eventually became what they call a Rainmaker. But during that time of making $37.50, within that year, I had earned in a few months $10,000.
All right.
I cashed a check, but you don't know what a tsunami is until you black down on Wall Street and try to cash a check for $10,000. Black?
dare
Oh,
you.
man, everybody. Chase Manhattan went out of business. Wells Fargo went after the Pony Express. I mean, they brought people around to me and asked me. They sniffed me. They looked at me, and I got a $10,000 check. In the meantime, before I got the $10,000 check, the man who owned the business asked me, what was you going to do with all this $10,000? What are you going to do with all this money? He's seen me. I was working. He owned the business, paying people $100,000 or more a month, and paid me $10,000. He said, no black person ever earned $10,000. I didn't see that as a big monumental kind of thing. But finally, I got my check cash, and I put the money in my pocket, and I went home to share the good news. Lord, there was good news. Junior has earned $10,000. I take the $10,000 and I take the train from Wall Street to Stamford, Connecticut, Grand Central Station to Stamford, Connecticut, get off the train, go into the house.
Walking on air.
I was touching God. Me and God was having a good, I confirmed and reaffirmed this money in my pocket. Did you hear me? I was clean with $10,000.
Smick, smack,
yeah,
smooth.
oh man. I walked into the house. My mother was sitting in a rocking chair, which she generally do, and was there, and I made a halo, a half a halo of a stack of $10,000, $1,000 around her in a semicircle. And she said, Junior, where did you get all of this money? Are you down there? Are you down there stealing? I said, no, Mama, I earn it. I really earn it. No, did you steal it? No. And she rocked and praised God and said, Lord, lead him on, But Junior, and finally my father came in through the door, and it was a ritual. With the ritual, that my mother would meet my father at the door, give him his bathrobe and his slippers, get him through her pristine kitchen, take him up the stairs, and have the bath water walking for him, running.
That's
well, this day
nice
she got him
treatment there.
halfway up, and there's some symbolism to halfway up the stairs, and she said, Junior is here with $10,000. Now, I want you to see, to visualize this. I got $10,000, and it was falling out of my, and I said, yes, I said, I earned this. And my father said, $10,000 in this house, Junior? And my mother said, yes, $10,000. And my father said, well, you have brought disgrace upon the family. You're down there. No black person ever earned $10,000 in a month. You have brought the devil's money here. You have to take it back. Take it back and get out. Said, I want you out of the house. And my mother said to him, well, he considers himself working, but all he does is whisper on the telephone. He just whispers, and nobody can earn that kind of money just whispering. Did you hear me?
Take it back.
Take it back. I said, no. I said, but I got a degree in economics and finance, and I'm down there, and I'm advising people on how to make their investments richer.
Yes.
And my father said, no, I want you to get a real job. I'm going to speak to Reverend Baxter. He can get you into the post office. You could become a policeman. You could
with
do
your
something.
economics degree.
Yeah, but don't. No.
My
Nobody black supposed to be able to do that. And my mother said, yeah, he just whispers on the telephone. So that's part of the journey.
Oof, that's some journey indeed.
That's the beginning.
That's the beginning. Yeah, it's a riveting story. It's true that very often the people closest to us don't recognize the value of our worth. That's why it's so important to understand self-worth.
Well, I think that I'm not even so sure that the notion of worth is the operative kind of notion.
What would you call it?
I would call it, there are times where the people, family members, don't realize that you've opened another door, that you've gone through another door, that the praise God that went on in talk about enlightenment is something that allows us to open doors, okay?
Yes.
The notion that you can advance the decimal point to the right through your intelligence opens all kinds of doors.
Yes.
That we can monetize intelligence. My father didn't understand that. My mother didn't understand that it is not my blackness, it's my intellectual, it's my ability to understand numbers, it's my ability to accumulate it, and it's my ability to praise God, just to let me get one more time, just get a time to shine in the light, to bring home something that bears fruit that represents something else. So it is not just worth.
Yes.
It was the notion that you can take something and whisper. I can whisper to you today that I think that if you are an investor, you want to be in potash. You want to be in potash. Potash is fertilizer. With increasing population across the world, and the finite notion about land, you got to produce more with less. So you want to be in potash. You want to put the things that affect the factors of production and the things that affect you daily and be able to use it to increase your worth. It makes no sense for me to sit down in an economic class and not understand what the whispering is.
Yeah.
The whispering that goes on most times excludes us as black people.
Understood.
Understood?
Yes.
And worth becomes something else. But they want the worth that was in my mother and father's notion about being a graduate, that you get a job in the post office. Nothing wrong with the posters or a police department or something else. But who sits down and say, well, how do I take something?
Yes.
Yeah, just a notion.
Right.
And how do I take it? 4 guys came into my office on Wall Street and said they wanted to own a magazine. They wanted to start a magazine. They had never written anything that had ever been published, but they wanted to own a magazine. And I listened. They got to be Essence Magazine. 4 black guys, which is kind of ironic, opening and starting a woman's magazine. There was no woman in the group.
I understand.
But they wanted to start a magazine. How do you
vision.
start a magazine? At the time we had Ebony and Jay. They come in and say, we want to start a magazine. Well, the notion is that on Wall Street, all you need is ideas and a little bit of intelligence, and you go out and you do that. I'm sitting here looking deep into your eyes, and I will challenge you. Have you know what Wall Street is? Have you ever seen it?
I've seen it.
You have. Tell me where it is and what does it do. Have you ever seen the marketplace?
I've seen the marketplace.
You think you've seen something that's symbols. There's a
It
symbol.
symbolizes.
Symbolizes. Hey, you've never seen IBM. You've seen something that's symbol.
Right.
Somebody comes to you and say, I want you to buy 1 million shares of IBM at 12.5 cents a share. And they sell it to you. You buy something that you've never seen before.
That's true.
This is a whole new world of creativity. Why should I be excluded? My blackness had nothing to do with that. I'm sitting there and a man's whispering on the telephone, something, getting paid for. I can be a whisperer. God knows it. Can you hear me? I'm whispering. I can whisper. Did you hear me? Yeah. I could whisper. So I started whispering. That's what my mother saw, whispering. But she didn't see that I had to take all the courses in economics. I had to take it in finance. I had to take all of that and try to make it my own. I got to be able to sing it. Yeah. I got to be able to make it dance and make the numbers become real.
The prosperity whisperer. They have the dog whisperer, the horse whisperer. Well, folks, I have the prosperity whisperer.
Oh, man, I should just be so young enough to appreciate that, didn't you? If I was young, I would just be whispering. But anyway, back to whispering.
Well, we know how important it is to have people in our lives who support our dreams. What did Romeo Bidden, heralded by the New York Times when he died as one of the America's preeminent artists and the nation's foremost collagist, say that inspired you to write?
It wasn't so much what he said as what he did.
What did he do?
He showed me how to create. He would take a line, and a pen and put it on paper. And he would then surrender his soul. His collages are narratives. They tell a story. How do you tell a story? What do you do in telling a story? And how does the story get told? Well, it wasn't so much that it was Romeo Bidden very much has affected my life, and I became his younger brother.
Yes.
But what he did is that he showed me and demonstrated time and time again how you could take a blank piece of paper, put a scribble on it, sign it, and have it worth some stuff. So it wasn't just telling me about it. There was madness in the notion that I was involved in 1969 with Essence Magazine, which was born then, Studio Museum, which was born then, and the brokerage business, which was born then. I wanted to, and that came about because it has something to do with the command. If I put something on a piece of paper, and I want you to know about it, I would hope that there would be a magazine or something out there that they can write about it and say, well, Carolyn Jones's art is wonderful. Okay?
Yes.
By doing that, that means they monetize it, that means that they memorialize it, it means like a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that happens, then the next thing I want is a repository. I want a big mouth, which is the magazine, to put it out there.
Yes.
I need a repository that's there, right?
Yes.
Which is the museum supposed to be, right?
Yes.
The museum then turns around and says, you have the best scribbling in the world.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And validates you.
It validates you. Validate the creativity. Which allows for increased value. I need to have a brokerage firm or something like that that can take an idea and make it worth millions.
Yes.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds
right?
of millions, yes.
And I need to be able to be in command of that. And being in command of that, meaning that we got people of color creating value that will be in the halls, in the museums, in the various places, in the schools of institution. That means that. And it also means that with my discussion with Bearden, how do you begin to sing the song that begins to insinuate itself within a materialistic society?
Well, speaking of singing a song, I would love to play an excerpt of Children of Our Children Keep Coming for our listeners.
Children of Children Keep Coming.
Children of Children Keep Coming.
Yes.
So,
it's an
may
epic
I?
Griot song. Please sing the song.
Out of the shadows of betrayal, out of a lack of loyalty, out of the clapping, out of the cuffling, out of the snapping of necks breaking, out of the shadows covering, out of the crowding angry shadows covering Africa, out of the shadows come hungry, hoary, marauding ogres come. They come using guns. They come, breaking ancestors. They come. Out of the shadows, out of the skies, they come singing their song of man's inhumanity to man. They come capturing, they come rupturing, they come destroying our way of life. They come destroying freedom, liberty, happiness. They come with greed. They come enslaving. They come. Out of our ancestors' horrific cries, Where is our God? God, you know our faith. You know our faith will not fall. Through it all. Every day, out of our love, we sing somewhere deep in the valley. A child says,
I'm born brown and black. From the ground I come, to the ground I go back. I'm Callie, a child of the valley, born in muck, bred in misery, carried on loved one's back through the rain and wind to the train, where there's never a lack of love that comes from above.
I'm black, yes, Callie of the valley.
I can really see these characters coming to
Holding
life. I know you're working on the CD version of Children. It's beautifully done. Is there a play version of Children in the works?
Yes, there is. Right now there's a discussion of The Children of Children Keep Coming, an epic griot song to be performed, and we're talking to Carnegie Hall. It's been performed at Riverside Church, at Columbia University, at the Schomburg. It is a griot song. The griot song is, and that's a short answer. The play version is there. The Children of Children is an attempt to create an epic that speaks to the beginning of our presence in this country. That beginning notion of our epic. We have episodic kinds of things to happen, but we need to be able to invest in who we are, what we are, and put it into some kind of form. I hope it has some literary notions that will memorialize people like Jackie Robinson or Emmett Till or Tubman, you name them.
Yes.
But they're episodic.
You certainly do.
Yeah. So the play is, it seems to me, it makes no sense for me to go and study the Odyssey or Gilgamesh or the Aeneid and not have our own kind of epic. The notion is that in creating the epic is that Charlie Yardbird Parker seduces Jim Crow's crows to drink sweet water from Ida B. Wells' wells at Birdland. We do that. You understand that? The music of our soul, the notion of our soul is such that we can turn around Jim Crow and his crows to go to Ida B. Wells' wells at Birdland. We can do that. Or the notion that Jackie Robinson had the equivalent strength or greater strength than Sisyphus, who pushed the rock up the hill. I'm sitting in a class hearing that Sisyphus puts a rock up the hill. It has to do with the mythology. Well, Jackie Robinson had the strength to break the color line.
Okay. Well, The Children of the Children Keep Coming is an epic treasure indeed, and it's published by Simon & Schuster, available for purchase through the publisher's website, also at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and Tower. Simon & Schuster describes this beautifully designed hardcover book that includes images by Romeo Bidden as a dramatic odyssey, seamlessly strung together by poetry and prose, blues and gospel, hymns and jazz, work songs and prayers, forcing the universal harmony of the cry for freedom and justice to reach an unforgettable pitch that cannot be ignored.
Freedom!
Yes, my dear listening audience, gift yourself today. Pick up your copy and enjoy the reading of a lifetime. Mr. Goings, thank you so much for spending time with us. Please visit again.
I would have it no other way because Christmas is coming.
Listeners, can you feel the excitement in the air as we approach Christmas and celebrate the dawning of a new day? I know you can feel it and will help create it. So say it with us.
Yes.
I will.
Yes, I will.
Guru Ram Das hai, Dharti hai, Akash hai, Guru Ram Das hai, Dharti hai, Akash hai, Guru Ram Das hai, Dharti